Welcome, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. We have a fantastic show coming up for you tonight. Rob Gutro, psychic medium and author, is back in the house. Coming up next. Welcome back, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. I'm author and researcher Mike Ricksecker. With me, as always, my co-host is Victoria. And down in the chat room, Alina moderating the chat. We have a fantastic show coming up for you tonight. Our good friend, psychic medium and author Rob Gutro is back with us. You probably recall that he has a fantastic series of books, Pets in the Afterlife, 3 volumes now. He also has a number of other wonderful books, but we're going to be talking about shadow pets this evening, a piece that Rob contributed to my recent book, A Walk in the Shadows. We'll also talk about pets in the afterlife as well. But Rob, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Victoria. Nice to be back.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah, always great to talk to you. We just had you back in December talking about holiday spirits and ghosts, and you always have a unique insight and perspective. So it's going to be another great show talking to you. And I always love your stories and different things you have to say.
Thanks. Well, I have plenty of them for you. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. This past January, I released the second edition to my book, A Walk in the Shadows, and I had asked you to chime in about shadow animals, and you had a number of stories about shadow pets, including some of your own, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. So I added a nice section in the shadow animal chapter from you talking about this type of phenomena. So you are one of the guys, Rob, that I always refer to when I talk about, shadow entities that, many of these are actually human spirits. Well, many of them are also, the pet ones are actually pet spirits as well. So can you give us a little bit more insight as to, how that is? How do some of these pets come off as shadows rather than,
Sure.
pet apparitions?
Okay. Well, for me, it's really all about energy, and that's really the fun. Right about, because I'm actually a meteorologist. So because they're energy, I look at any kind of ghost or spirit as kind of like a light bulb that doesn't have enough energy to shine if they're trying to get a message across. So, for instance, if an entity doesn't have enough energy, they appear maybe as a shadow or maybe as an outline. But if an entity gets a lot of energy, for instance, from heat, light, water, electricity, or emotional energy, so ghosts will use fear, anxiety, depression, and anger, and spirits who have crossed will use love, faith, and hope. Those will power them. So if they get enough energy, they can become more visible. And that's my theory on why we see shadow pets.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, you've had a number of instances in which you've actually seen some of your past pets as shadows. And one that I found very interesting was the one in which you actually saw half shadow and half apparition. That one absolutely fascinated me.
Say that again, because the sound cut out over here.
Yeah, I was saying that you have a number of fascinating stories about shadow pets, and the one that really fascinates me is the one in which you had actually seen the dog as half shadow and half apparition.
The shadow in again, your sound keeps cutting out, and I'm not sure why, but if you're asking me about one of my dogs, is that what you're asking me about, Mike?
Yeah, the one that you saw is a half shadow and half apparition.
Okay, sorry, I guess I'm having technical difficulties on this side for some strange reason. So our dog Sprite passed away, and Sprite is a dachshund. He's actually here on the cover of Pets in the Afterlife too. And Sprite used to love to hang out in front of the front door, and often when pets will cross, they will come back and visit, and they will usually stay in the place or appear in the place that they used to favor when they were in life. So every now and then we would walk by the front door, and there would be a little shadow about Sprite size, looking like it was looking out the window at the front door. So Sprite didn't have enough energy to manifest in visible in full color, but we would see him from time to time whenever he passed. And the same thing happened with my dog Dolly that just passed away in October. I have she used to sit in the kitchen in the big bed in the corner, and I can't tell you how many times I have walked in that kitchen and her shadow has been right there.
That happens to us a lot too. Can you hear me? Or?
Yes.
Okay. We've only been in this house about a year, and I don't know if you remember or not. We have the 4 cats, the herd. Mm-hmm. And my daughter was getting dressed a few weeks ago, and she opened the door and she goes, "All right, all 5 of you, go in the other room." I was like, 5? We don't have 5. Where are you getting this other one from? So I know we picked up another one somewhere. They just kind of hang out.
So who do you think the other cat was?
Well, we had Zach. He was the one that died in the first apartment we had, and he came when we moved here. And then there's a buddy. I don't know who he is. It mills around with the cats. I don't know. Do they just kind of come because it looks like a party house, or?
So usually, what I found is that our pets, wherever they pass, they will find us because the love that we share with them is like an energy, like a tether, an invisible tether of love that they can find us. So they will do that. They'll come to us wherever we are, and that holds true too. If you go on vacation, if you go in the car, it doesn't matter where you go. Your pet can find you in spirit because of the love that you had for them, and that's what acts as a beacon, if you will.
Yeah, there's always a euphoria when it comes to feeding time, if you want to call it that. And I'll be in another room, and I can even, you can feel the energy changing. It's like, oh, they're awake. So that's when they show up, and so I'm hoping it's not a possum or something. It's another cat, but you never know around here.
They do. So I have found that pets in spirit behave much the same that they did when they were in life. So, for instance, if your cat in spirit liked to jump on the bed, he will very much like to jump on the bed in spirit too. So, possums don't usually do that. So go with that.
Well, we don't keep them in the house. I don't know. But Mike has Sasquatch, so who knows?
Oh, well, you're referring to that comment that I made on Facebook earlier today. I was being a little silly, but I mean, there are some out here in Ohio, not in my backyard, but
not my cats,
not your cats,
not your Sasquatch. So your first book, I'm sorry, the dog. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. He's on your first book.
Buzz.
Yes, Buzz. Okay. Were you a pet psychic before Buzz passed? I know you said that kind of triggered you, and he was one that came that taught you how to communicate with pets. But were you communicating with pets before he passed?
Yeah, no, I was actually not. This is Buzz here on Pets in the Afterlife 1, and it really was Buzz who actually opened the door for me. When I first started sensing people who passed away, I was a teenager, and it was always people, and that was right up until 2005, until Buzz passed. Oh. But so I look at him as kind of a guardian spirit on the other side that opened the doorway for me to communicate.
Oh, that's wonderful. I've in the past month, so many people have lost. I don't like calling them pets, buddies. They're canine companions. They've all passed. Is there something going on? Is their mission complete? Are they moving on now, or is it just a coincidence?
I call them fur kids myself.
Okay. Oh, I like that. Yes. Okay, fur kids.
Yeah, they're my children. So, I think that if you're talking about the environment in which we're in right now with the pandemic and so forth, I have found that a number of pets have stayed longer than than they really intended to, because they want to be there for their parents
Okay.
who are stressed, because they can feel the
yeah.
stress that we're going through, and they know that they can offer comfort. And Victoria, I will tell you that our dog Dolly, she was 1 month shy, or three weeks shy of turning 16 years old. And
Wow.
that's incredibly old for a Weimaraner who's
Oh,
70
yes.
pounds.
Oh, wow.
And she was incontinent with number 1 and 2, and she wore a diaper. And I knew that she stayed longer than she intended, because she wanted to comfort me.
I get misty-eyed easy, so we can back to you, Mike. Yeah, I'll throw it over there. Yeah, I understand. There have been so many of my friends whose pets have just hung on and hung on and hung on, and then poof. So,
yeah, so I think that's why they're reading our emotional energy, and they know that we really need them. So, and they're the most unselfish living things. So that's why.
Yeah, I heard a long time ago that they're actually aliens, and they were sent to Earth to teach us how to live, or how to love unconditionally, which is, it's actually kind of true. I mean, I'm actually happy. Well, they're not my cats, but I'm actually happy to come home and see them. It's nice because they don't judge you. Well, some of them do, but anyway, okay.
So I will tell you though that in one instance, one of my dogs, and that was Buzz, this one here. He actually had enough energy to come through to me that I could actually visibly see him, but he didn't have enough energy to totally appear. I only saw his back end.
Oh. But you knew it was him.
I'd recognize that back end anywhere, but but seriously, it was I think it was a year. Yeah, it was a year after he passed. And I will never forget it. I was alone in the kitchen. I had already adopted Dolly, who was the other Weimaraner, and she was a puppy. And I clearly saw and visibly saw his behind, and I thought it was Dolly, because Dolly's the same breed. And I followed the behind as it went into another room that didn't have a doorway out, and then I turned the light on and it disappeared.
Oh, wow.
That's how I knew it was Buzz. And then I ran upstairs, and there upstairs, curled up asleep on my bed, was Dolly, because I thought it was Dolly. That was
it gets your heart going, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty shocking, really.
Do Buzz and Dolly ever play together or relate or hang out together? Are they accepting or?
So Buzz passed in February 2005. I adopted Dolly in March 2005.
Right.
So, but Dolly has seen him when Dolly was alive. She did see him. And actually, one of the stories in my Pets in the Afterlife 3 book involves Buzz, because when our pets are getting ready to pass, just like people, we see people and pets on the other side. And this incident happened to me and Dolly the morning I knew that she was going to cross over. So, long story short, she had a disc that was slipping within 24 hours. One of the discs in her back slipped out in 24 hours and rendered her unable to walk. Her back legs were rendered useless.
Right.
And at 16 years old, and she was incontinent, and she just let me know that she was done. So
yeah,
we had called the mobile vet to come over that day, the next day, and I slept on the floor in the kitchen with her, and our youngest dachshund slept with me because we're both very bonded to Dolly. 3 o'clock in the morning, she woke up, and now she was on some pain medicine and to keep her comfortable, but she picked her head up, and that was unusual because her spine was,
Right.
giving way. And she turned and stared at a doorway in the kitchen. And I tried to get her to go back to sleep. I wasn't looking at where she was looking.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, she wouldn't turn away. And I said, okay, what in the world are you staring at? And I turned and I looked at that doorway to the kitchen. And there, standing there, was Buzz and Sprite and Franklin, our 3 dogs that had passed, my mom and dad, and our friend Ed. And it was only for seconds. They were all there. And of course, it was really emotional for me. But
oh yeah, you're like welcoming her.
But they were there to let me know that they were going to be there to help Dolly cross later that day.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob. I know that's very emotional for you, so we appreciate you sharing that. Everybody, you can check out Rob's website. We have the link down in the description below on the YouTube live stream here, robgutro.com. And of course, you can find all 3 of the Pets in the Afterlife books there, 1, 2, and 3, as well as all of his other books out there on his website. And he also has a fantastic blog, so don't just check out the website for the books. You also want to stay tuned to that blog, because Rob posts a lot of great articles and insight and all kinds of wonderful things out there. So he's a fantastic resource and, of course, great friend as well. So, Rob, you've had a lot of these, amazing, interactions, with your own pets. But a lot of people see other, shadow animals as well, like cats. And I know you provided a story for one of the cats there in what you submitted for A Walk in the Shadows. But other people that I've talked to have seen other things as well, like shadow spiders, shadow snakes. It seems like almost any of these animals could possibly be a shadow. Does it just all come down to that energy?
Yeah, it all pretty much comes down to energy, I think. And even the wild animals, I think that people have reported seeing, like driving on the highway and so forth. I sometimes if you're driving down the highway and you think you see a deer and there really isn't a deer there, but you saw a shadow, it may have been a deer that passed and either decided to come back and look for its loved ones to give them a sign, or maybe just stay earthbound as a ghost. But typically, I find that all pets will cross. I think about 98% of the pets that I've encountered have crossed over. Just a very few have not.
Are there ones that just want to hang out here and hang around with us, or eventually they'll all go?
Well, there have been a couple that I've run into that have decided to stay, and one was a cat on a paranormal investigation that I ran into, and the other one was a dog, actually, that I actually saw in color, and that was a ghost dog in England. I'll never forget it because I didn't expect to go into a museum and find a dog running around in there. And when I asked about it, they said, "There's no dog in here." Not until I talked to the docents that worked in the museum that had said that they've seen the ghost of a little dog who turned out to be the owner's dog back in the 1800s. And that dog stayed behind.
I could hear Toby back there going,
you hear one Toby, of your not cats?
One of my not cats. I was telling Mike earlier, he actually speaks English. And, people don't believe me, but he was sitting outside my door this morning going, "Mom, Mom." And I was like, "Who's calling me?" And I opened the door and it's the cat, but he's going up and down the stairs now going, "Mom." So anyway.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, so I have to tell you both that when I do pet readings, I need to actually look at a picture of the pet, and I ask people to email me a picture of their pet and the pet's name and any questions they may have, and the pet will actually communicate to me in language. Now, I'm likely interpreting their information or their thoughts and their images, but that's the way I hear it. I actually hear it sometimes in words,
Uh-huh.
and they'll also give me numbers too that may be significant. Um,
Are they like lottery numbers or something? Or
I wish
oh, well, one could hope.
if I get the lottery number, I'd be out, on a warm island right now.
I'm looking for a picture for Zach, but I take a lot of cat pictures for them not being my cats.
You do. You post a lot of cat photos, and you always put the hashtag "not my cat," but
Yeah.
and that's why I say, for you, it's more of you're their human.
It pretty much is, yeah.
So,
yeah.
We do have some questions here from the chat. So, Victoria, while you're finding that,
Okay.
I'll go ahead and I have to scroll back up to it because I did it in the wrong place here. So we'll take this question as pertaining to shadow animals, but Hans the Hat Man, do you think shadow people can feel the elements, i.e., temperature, feeling, taste, and smell? So do you think these shadow pets would feel the elements like that?
No, I really don't think that the elements would really affect them, because really, I look at them as beings of energy. So it's like a sunbeam. Do you think a sunbeam would feel raindrops falling? If if a sunbeam was coming through the clouds and rain was falling, a sunbeam wouldn't experience it. It is really energy with a conscience and memory, but they don't have the same feelings that we do in the physical.
Tell me more about these spiders. Shadow spiders. Okay. I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's see. Wait, go this way.
Let me make you full screen.
Okay. What is that?
That's Zach. That's the first cat. He was an alien, I think, because he had green eyes. And he would sneak around and drink our milk. So
very reflective eyes.
Yeah, he was. Whenever Star Trek was on, he would come and watch Star Trek with me. So yeah, every picture we took, his eyes would light up like that. So I don't know. I think he was an alien. He was. Anyway.
Well, it could have been his magnetic personality shining through.
That's true.
Yeah, could have been.
He was the one that had the broken back, and his jaw was broken, and his whole body was broken.
Aww.
So we took him. So basically, he would have a place to die.
Oh my gosh!
But he had a good 3 months with us.
So, question here from Papa Bear 001. Do people see cats more than dogs, or vice versa?
That's a good question. And I have found that they're pretty much on par with each other. It really depends on how observant the pet parent is after the pet passes, and pretty much every single pet will try and materialize in some way as a shadow if they can, or visibly. And there's many other ways that pets, of course, can come. Can give you signs that they're around. You may see a paw print in your bath mat or on your bed. I've talked to a lot of people who have experienced that. Can you imagine that? Having your dog pass away, and then 3-4 weeks later, there's no dog in the house, but there's certainly a paw print in your bath mat.
That would be wild.
Yeah.
Or like an indentation on your bed where the cat's not supposed to be, but he's there anyway.
But there it is.
Yes. So there's been many, many accounts of those things happening.
Wow.
For both cats and dogs.
Do the animals, once they've crossed over, do they ever come back for to protect or warn you or to give you a heads up? Or is it just, hey, because I love you, I'm coming back?
They do both, actually. So pets can act as our guardians. I mean, typically, more so dogs. Dogs act more as guardians, although cats do as well. But dogs, it's more, I guess, ingrained in their character to be more guardians. So they do come back, and and it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in a car, and your dog will be there in spirit, and your dog may protect you from from harm if you get in an accident. And I've actually talked to some people about that too, who have thought they've seen their dog in the back seat right when they were getting in an accident.
Oh my.
And they believe their dog was responsible for either protecting them from harm. And in one case, somebody swore their dog took them out of the car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I just got chills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
crazy.
that's extremely interesting that they would actually pull somebody out of a car.
See, Mike, that's why you need pets, Mike.
Not allowed here at this house, unfortunately. So next
Bunny
house,
rabbit?
though, Nicole and I have talked about that. So
Bunny rabbits. They're in a cage outside. You know.
a little chilly for a cage outside with bunny rabbits. I'd feel.
Oh, that's
bad
right. You
for
live
them
up.
if they had to.
You live up north.
We live in the north, right?
Yeah.
So a little bit of a different vein, Rob, because I do get this question quite a bit when I'm talking about shadow entities, and people go down asking about shadow animals and all that. So again, I always refer them to you, but the question of things like hellhounds will come up a lot. Are these just something totally different? Are they in the same vein? What do you think? Some of these interesting, kind of more nefarious sightings like that are.
I think there's someone's mother-in-law. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna get some heat for that, but it's just. So what I think about those, those strange-looking entities is that I likely think that they may be life forms from another planet, universe, that have come to Earth, because as energy, there's obviously life out there. There's, I've said this before. There's like 3,800 cataloged planets, another 4,800 waiting to be certified, and there's a number of them that are in the right position to support life. We even found a molecule in Venus's atmosphere that may be indicative of life, and we're looking for water on Mars right now. So, plus there's water on Titan, one of Saturn's moons. So there's definitely life out there. I just think that they may be entities from another universe that come here, and they look weird when they materialize.
That kind of makes sense. And then, we just kind of, in our own context, try to relate it to something, and, comes out as, hellhound or some other crazy creature. So that makes a lot of sense, actually. We have some other questions here.
I try to make sense, Mike.
Yeah, you do. This is from Stacy Comiskey. Rob, can you read pets that have not passed too?
No, that would be an animal communicator. So that is a different gift. That's a great question. I get that a lot. So animal communicators have the ability to read living animals and figure out like what's ailing them, why they're behaving oddly, and so forth like that. As a medium, kind of a medium rare, I can only communicate with people that and pets that passed. So of course, the exception is my dogs. I know exactly what they want when they want it. I have a really good connection with them because they're very personal. But
they're your family. I mean,
sure. Also, people that master Reiki, the art of Reiki, the energy, they also can look at a pet and figure it out. I've done a little bit of Reiki, and just very little. And I was actually able to nail down the personality of a bird and a cat just by looking at their picture. But it takes a lot more for me to do that. So, yeah. So animal communicators for living pets.
Yeah, a bird would be hard to read because we got one of those too here, and he's crazy. I mean, he's just like a little, crazy bird.
We love all of our little birds that we get out here at the feeder. We get tons of them, and it's interesting because you kind of grow attached to them. You kind of start recognizing some of them. You watch all the bird drama going on.
Oh my God, yes. Oh,
bird drama. Okay.
There's so much bird drama. I mean,
It sounds like a new Netflix show.
Yeah, it
Coming in the
seriously
fall.
is.
Yes. No, yeah. My daughter has a cockatiel, and we swear he's a cranky little old man, because he hisses and he throws seeds when you walk in the room. He'll throw them at you because he's 15.
And and when that bird passes and he comes back in spirit, he's going to be doing the same thing. So you may see seeds flying over the house, and then you be wondering, and then you have to think about it.
I don't think he's ever going to pass. He's 15. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry.
But those birds can last a long time.
Well, now you tell me.
Yeah, they live to be like 40. I don't know.
No, I don't. I hope not. I don't want to go into my retirement age and have that bird there.
So,
not my bird.
Question here. Yeah, not your bird.
Not my
Question
bird.
here from Fungi. I wonder if pets will ever be reborn into human and vice versa. Will we be reborn into animal form?
If we're lucky. Yeah. No. So in my experience is that we don't really cross over in the animal kingdom. Nobody knows, but with all of the pets that I've communicated with on the other side, several of them have been old souls, which means that they've lived before, and they were pets in the previous life. They were animals in the previous life, and they come back as animals. Same thing with people. One of the things I like to say is, have you ever seen a grown man or woman sitting there just licking their palms like a cat?
Oh wait, Mike. No.
Okay.
Maybe when they're 2. I don't know.
Yeah. So I haven't. So and we, especially when you're younger. I mean, we're more privileged to our previous life. You'll often hear little kids like 3, 4, 5 years old say things they never could have possibly known.
Right.
And they're always human. So, but no, I don't think that we cross kingdoms.
But wouldn't it be cool if we could? I would like to.
Yeah, my husband always says he wants to come back as my dog because I treat the dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Well, I wouldn't want to be a
Yikes.
homeless animal. No. Rob treats his fur babies well, I'm sure.
I do. Yeah, my kids are everything.
Do they wear clothes when it gets cold?
They do.
Okay.
They're short-haired.
My kind of people, Rob.
Another question here from Rick Gabber. You kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but do you think pets who've passed on can still come around to protect their owners and new pets they own now?
Yeah. As we mentioned, they certainly do come back around and protect us. And the other thing too is that they'll also lead us to another pet that they want us to adopt. So keep that in mind. If you here's something interesting that I've been doing a lot of readings about pets that have come back, that give messages rather, about whom they want to adopt. And what's funny is some of those pets, particularly dogs, will say, lately I've heard, it's okay if my dad and mom adopt another dog. I would love that for them to give them a home. But if it's a male, if I'm reading a male dog, sometimes a male dog will say, I only want them to adopt a female because I don't want them to, I don't want another male in the house. Or I want to be the only male dog.
We had pugs when I lived in Arizona. I had 2 males, Eric and Percy. Don't ask me why. I don't know why his name was Eric, but that's the name he came with. And I lost them in the divorce. So when I moved back to Texas, we got 2 more dogs, and Eric is the perfect pug name. So we named him Eric 2, kind of as a tribute, it's like Eric 2, come inside, and because you can never replace the first one, but it's such a great name.
Yeah. So that's an important point though. People sometimes will feel guilt thinking they're replacing a pet. And our pets really want us to know that we're not replacing them. Like you said, they want us to know that it's okay to adopt another pet and give a pet that wouldn't have the chance of a loving home to have a loving home, and especially do it in their memory.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like today I was going to take a nap on the sofa. There's a perfect, it's like the alignment of the sun of, on solstice or something. And the sunbeam comes in and hits the sofa just at the right spot. So I was going to take a nap. Next thing I know, I had 3 cats on me. I'm like, no, my sunbeam. But they come down. Okay,
Yeah, that's the danger about sleeping in a sunny spot.
Yeah, they all come down.
Yeah,
I find that.
But this is it's an interesting topic though, because I do see a lot of people like immediately after losing a pet, they will reacquire like immediately. They'll adopt another pet, and so I guess I always wonder if there should be a little bit more grieving, or if there should be a little bit more space. But it sounds like you're saying that that's okay. It's you're actually helping out another pet by doing that.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. But sometimes the pet will want us to wait a little bit. They want a little space, and it's always good to wait just a little bit. Maybe not adopt the next day. Give yourself some time to grieve, because we have to process this grief. It's really it's a physical loss, and what it does is it creates. It totally upends our routine. It totally gives us a feeling of emptiness. When we lost 2 dogs in 2020 when I was writing Pets in the Afterlife 3, Franklin the Dachshund and Dolly the Weimaraner, and it was horrible. It was a brutal year. The emptiness, the pain, and the emptiness were just gut wrenching. I would walk by Dolly's bed and I would just tear up. I would always be looking outside for Franklin because he loved sitting in the sun. And the night we had to say goodbye to Franklin, my husband and I just bawled. It was just awful. And this is during, of course, the pandemic, when fortunately the vet let us come into the vet hospital with him, but still it was just awful. So that emptiness doesn't go away, and we have to process that grief. So in Pets in the Afterlife 3, one of the things that makes this book different, first of all, it's all about messages from spirit dogs. And a really good friend of mine who's a medical psychologist, Dr. William Charmack, he wrote a full chapter on how to deal with grief and loss. And there are some really good tips in there about how to do that. He says, keep in mind that that feelings are both friends and betrayers. Some feelings are helpful to get over the grief. Others are not. He says rely on thinking and not feelings. There are a number of things that I did too that I felt were really helpful. I also added parts to this chapter, and one of the things I found was to post something on social media to let your friends know. And the messages, even if it's support by saying I'm sorry for your loss, that means so very much to anybody who lost a pet. Just a quick note. The other thing too is that always say I'm here if you want to talk. Mm-hmm. More than not, we really want to hear somebody's voice to help us either get through something or just listen to somebody, because they're going through a terrible loss. And that's with people too. I mean, the grieving people want just to be heard. Even if they just want to sit there and cry on the phone, just let them do that, because it's really healing.
Yeah, I think so many of my friends have lost fur babies, is what we call them, since the pandemic has started. And I have one friend in particular who's taken it really, really hard. So I referred her to your books, of course. And so this was just a couple weeks ago. And so I heard you say something on another interview where a lot of times, because the pets or fur babies or whatever have such a short lifespan, that we actually do see them as our children. So it's even harder when you think, oh my God, I'm a parent and this is like my child. It's much more than just, it's an animal connection. It's, it really is your child, basically. But in form.
Exactly, Victoria. That's that's exactly how I feel, and that's what I tell people is that, we raise our pets the same way we raise our human children. Mike, you have children.
Yeah. Well, I always told for the longest time, and this was more my ex-wife's doing because she didn't want a pet for so long, that we ended up telling them that, well, we already have 4 pets.
Oh.
We ended up with a cat when we moved to Oklahoma, which the cat kind of came with the house, so we inherited the cat. But yeah,
the difference is you can't crate train your child. You have to actually take care of them.
Oh, I was supposed to take the children out of the crates. Oh, okay.
Only
when the social worker comes,
Yeah, so like human children, I always say that we take them to school, we teach them to go to the bathroom, we teach them to interact well with others, we teach them to eat all their food, we give them their medicine, we take them to the doctor, we take them to school. And the only difference is they don't grow up and marry someone you don't like and leave you. That's the only difference.
Right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they live a short time. Between 10 and 15 years usually. And as much as I would have loved our dogs to live longer, I understand that if they did live longer, and they lived into extreme old age with more infirmities, that I would have been extraordinarily worried more about them. So we have to understand that they live here for a certain amount of time, and they're here to teach us what unconditional love means, and that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I agree with that. Absolutely. So, Rob, you have 3 different, I guess, editions of Pets in the Afterlife, number 1, 2, and 3. Can you give us kind of the rundown of what each of these volumes are about?
Sure. Well, Pets in the Afterlife 1, the one with Buzz, the Weimaraner, on the left-hand side, that one has more of a basis of science in there, more of an introduction about the science. So the science of how dogs learn, how dogs think, and also there's a good explanation about the scientific study that proves that dogs have the same emotions people do by an experiment done by Dr. Gregory Burns in Emory University, using MRIs and studying the caudate of the brain, the caudate section of the brain. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it, but I explain it in the book. Pets in the Afterlife 3 also has chapters by 3 other mediums that I know and how they communicate with their dogs after they passed, plus my own experiences with Buzz and other pets that I read. Dogs and cats. Pets in the Afterlife 2 is filled with stories from readings that I've done and also experiences that people have had with dogs, cats, horses, and birds. So the whole gamut. And Pets in the Afterlife 3 is all about dogs because I've had so many stories from dogs. Plus, it teaches you how to work through your grief. And again, all of these books, Mike, are incredibly personal and emotional for me.
Yeah.
Because book number 1 features my dog Buzz that passed. Book number 2 features my dog Sprite that passed. And book number 3 features Dolly and Franklin who passed. So all of my fur kids have a lot of signs to teach people what to look for. And that's why I wrote the books. If you read these stories, you'll learn all the different ways that pets can communicate, including one on Pets in the Afterlife 3 is one of my favorite stories about a dog that used social media.
Oh, wow.
How?
Use social media.
Yeah.
Did
So
he have a Twitter account or what? I mean, what?
not its own, but it was about Facebook. And
Oh, okay.
this is, and I have to thank my friend Dan, who shared this story. He actually came to me with it. So, and Dan is a gentleman that I befriended after I did a reading for him for his dog. And I love sharing this story because it's a quirky way that pets can use some different kind of medium, no pun intended, to get a message across. So Dan volunteered at an animal shelter, and he he bonded with this one dog that was in the shelter for a couple months. Little dog that had really bad heartworm when he was given up into the shelter, and Dan took a special liking to him. He really doted on him. But when COVID hit, all the dogs in the shelter had to be immediately fostered because they were shutting the shelter down.
Mhm.
Dan couldn't foster the dog because he worked 10, 12-hour days. So a family fostered the dog. Long story short, within 2 months, the heartworm that the dog had contracted actually took his life.
Oh.
Dan was heartbroken. A month, or I think it was a month or two after, Dan said that he was on his Facebook page, and he was scrolling, and there was a video from the shelter that he worked at, and the still image was of this dog.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
Here's the weird part. Normally, when you have a video, the freeze frame is usually within the first 5 or 10 seconds, right? Typically.
Sure.
Well, Mike, you're the video master. So this dog was only shown for 2 seconds in a clip at 1 minute and 47 seconds into the video.
Oh, wow.
But the dog appeared on the screen when Dan looked at the video. But when I brought the video up, his picture wasn't there.
Oh.
That was not the still image
Interesting.
that I had. So he had a human, obviously, in spirit, help him manipulate that screen, that video, so Dan would know that he is still very much with Dan.
Oh, that's
wow.
nice.
Yeah, that's really
Crazy.
sweet. Very, very interesting.
The
No such thing as a
synchronicities are.
coincidence.
No, I mean,
Right. No.
now we get crazy cat pictures on my Facebook every now and then. I'm like, oh, I miss the cat. Oh, I didn't say that. Not my cat.
You
Not my
missed
cat.
your cat. Uh-huh.
I missed the space alien with the green eyes.
So pets can also tell me like who's on the other side with them. They give me numbers which have significance. I think the last time I was on, I told you a story that I was going to put in here about that number 512 and that dog that shared that number, and the dad finally contacted me 8 months later and said he figured out what it meant. Turned out it was a medical code. He was a doctor. So that whole story is in there. And the medical code was exactly what the dog passed of.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Very smart dog.
But it took 8 months for him to figure that out, because when he saw a patient in his office, a human patient, and he was writing down the medical chart, code 512, and then he said, that's what my dog passed away from.
Wow.
And he was like, so I mean, of course, he immediately contacted me and he said, here it is 8 months later, I finally figured out what this number meant. I can't believe that my dog gave you that number.
So would he just tell him the
really
number to confirm that he's okay, or hey, I'm thinking of you, or?
Yeah. So dogs will give me something intensely personal that only the parent will know, so that they will be able to know that the dog is still very much around them and still okay.
Okay. Oh, that's comforting. I like that. But these aren't my cats.
We have, yeah, your cats. So I have an interesting question here from Monica. She says, I've been told I have a dog and cat spirit around me. However, I've never owned either. Is there a reason for this?
Sure, they very well maybe. If your parents had a dog or a cat, or your grandparents had a dog or a cat, they may be your guardian, like your spirit guides. Because Buzz is my spirit guide.
So even passing down from generation to generation, you could end up with some relative's pet that's looking out for you, or something of that ilk.
Sure, absolutely. Just like a grandparent can become a spirit guide, so can a pet. And a grandparent in spirit can send that pet because they were either very close to the pet, or the pet was very protective of them, and they want that for their loved ones here on Earth.
Do you think a certain pet could be part of our spirit tribe? Like it's eventually going to come to us sooner or later because we're connected somehow? Or is it just random?
I'm not sure I understand.
Like you would have like a
spirit tribe.
A group of spirits, of souls that we're always together through incarnations.
Oh yeah, I think that all our pets will stay around us whenever we come back.
Okay.
And that brings up a good point too. Is that often people will tell me they think their dog or cat that has passed is reincarnated in their current dog or cat. And I did a special chapter on that. That was my very last chapter of this book, because a woman wrote me and she said, another medium told me that my dog has been reincarnated in my current dog, even though the new dog was born before the other dog died.
How's that possible?
It's not possible. It's not possible.
Okay.
Timing doesn't work out.
Yeah, and another one said that even though her dog died before, she also said my dog is reincarnated in this other dog, and I wrote back and I said it's not my experience. My experience is that our pets wait for us on the other side, but your dog can show signs or habits that your other dog had that's now in spirit, because your dog in spirit comes back and trains them to do things that they used to do. And so the reason they do that is so that you will know the dog in spirit is guiding your new dog.
So could the dog in spirit come back and tell your current dog, hey, she really likes it when you bite her toe or something? Mm-hmm. It's just like a little, okay.
Sure, it could be a bad habit or a good habit.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's Toby.
Yeah, there's one of your not cats there.
Could you see him?
Yeah, you walked by. Yeah.
It was my shadow cat. No.
Your shadow cat. So, Rob, there is a Pets in the Afterlife 4 coming, correct?
There is. I don't want to show favoritism. Pets in the Afterlife 4 will be about messages from spirit cats. So, for all you cat lovers, I'm not being partial. I was working on the dog book first because our dog Franklin had passed, and Franklin and Dolly's signs, and there were a lot of them, were fresh in my mind. I needed to get this book out.
Yeah, I totally understand, and so. Number 3, messages from spirit dogs. Number 4, is it going to be messages from spirit cats? Or are you going to?
Yeah, it will be. Okay. It's I pretty much already have it together, but it's going to be a couple of years before I publish it because I've got 7 on the
7 books in the works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I work a full-time job, so
you do. Yeah,
you're a meteorologist. Remember
Rob's a meteorologist.
Remember the club I told you about? Yes. That's going to be good.
By the way, we passed meteorological spring, which was March 1st.
Yes, we were into summer this weekend. It was already in the 80s. So it's cold again.
Mike and I don't want to hear that.
No, because today was a nice, bright, sunny day, and it's like, oh, it's going to be wonderful. It was 30 degrees.
Hey, our weather tried to kill us last week, so
that's true.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was insane. Yeah, thank goodness we had the cats because they did keep us warm. We
So,
shoved them all into a blanket.
Just a note, because I'm a meteorologist, I just want to tell you and everybody listening that if you do live in the southern U.S., especially Texas, Oklahoma, and those areas, because of the way the topography is in the U.S., cold air sinks, and it is sinking further and further south, and that's because the global climate is warming, and the Arctic was warming, and that pushed all the cold air down south. It displaced the Arctic air from the Arctic down into the U.S. And that's going to happen regularly now. It's going to go that far south.
But we were in a La Nina, weren't we? This because we were hot all the way.
La Nina's developing, but that's the cold water in the Pacific. Okay. But it's really the global temperatures that are going to continue. That's why we get colder winters, we get more Arctic outbreaks, and we get hotter summers. And that's what a warmer world does.
So the jet stream's like dipping down further?
That's correct.
So the hurricanes are going to be more intense? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. I heard, interesting, that they may extend the hurricane season. I heard this the other day.
Yeah, I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just had to throw that in, Mike. Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
I'm a weather geek. What can I say? That's what I do.
No, and a lot of people are interested in that. Nick Moulet down in the chat was saying that he's a part-time storm chaser. So yeah, there's definitely some crossover interest. So, and a lot of people will relate, the weather to supernatural and paranormal activity as well.
There are two things that affect us every single day, even if we don't leave the house. One is weather, and the other one is spirit. Weather, because even if you don't leave the house, if there's a low pressure system outside, the high pressure in your body will push on every joint, and you will feel aches and pains.
Oh yeah.
Because high pressure flows to low pressure. And the other thing is spirits. So spirits will come and go and watch over us in the house whenever we need them. So weather and spirits, the two areas of my interest, will always affect you no matter what you do, where you go.
Yeah. My old boss used to say I have rain brain because like the day before it rains, I get the migraines. And I get the migraines.
That's pretty awful.
Yeah. It's like, it's going to rain tomorrow.
Yeah, that's not a good way to try to, predict the weather there, Victoria.
Well, I know what to wear the next day,
Well, I guess that's true.
I got rain brain, so anyway.
All right. Well, we are winding down toward the end of the show. Just a couple of minutes left here. I'll put the books back up here for Pest in the Afterlife 1, 2, and 3. We do have in the description below, we do have the link to Rob's website, and I'll put the ticker up here again, where you can actually find the books, find his blog, all of that wonderful stuff, robgutro.com. Rob, where else can people find you?
In bed in about an hour. They can find actually if they type in petspirits.com, if they can't figure out how to spell my name, it goes to the same place. But if you go on Amazon and type in Gutro, I don't think there is another with my crazy name. So
there's only one Rob.
Short but crazy, yeah.
Well, it's a massacre French name, so anyway, so that's where they can find me. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff too. They can just type it in. But I love questions. I love getting questions, and I try to answer questions, especially on weekends. I do readings now on weekends. So I started doing that in January, Mike, because I get overwhelmed. And I do them on weekends. And I just ask people to send me a picture of their pet, the pet's name, any questions they may have by email, and I just charge $10 on PayPal. So,
nice.
Oh, there you
and
go.
my books are only $10. So I'm cheap. I didn't say easy. I said cheap.
Right.
I know what you were thinking, Victoria.
Yeah.
You
Inexpensive. How
mediums.
about that?
I'm not cheap. I'm not easy. No, anyway, what's your favorite cloud? How do you feel about stratocumulus? Just kidding.
I prefer the cumulus ones. But by the way, I see all these weather questions in your chat, Mike. And yeah, I can. Yeah, he can send me weather questions on my.
Nicole has one here. Does that mean it's going to get warmer in the north?
Yes.
In the summer.
Yeah. Using satellite data, we've already been able to see that boreal forests are retreating further north. Those are the northern forests, and that things that never grew in the mid latitudes, like crepe myrtles, you couldn't grow a crepe myrtle in Maryland before, and
Really?
now they thrive in Maryland because the temperature, the climate has warmed especially over the last 20, 30 years.
But when the permafrost starts melting, is that going to bring like horrible diseases and bacteria that we haven't had for millennia or something?
Well, it's certainly going to unleash some methane that's been trapped underground, and also we've been seeing the Arctic melting. We're seeing in the summer, the Arctic Circle is as the ice content is smaller and smaller. Pretty soon, in our lifetime, we may see an open passage in the Arctic in the summertime. That's scary.
It
because
is.
that means a lot of people who live in Miami will be like living in Atlantis. Don't buy oceanfront property.
Oh no.
Yeah, it'll be underwater soon. Unless maybe you're going to open a scuba business.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So climate change is real. It's been happening for a long time, and we just keep exacerbating it. But anyway, on another note, keep your spirits up. Talk to your loved ones on the other side, pets and people. If you want to get a message from your loved ones, I would ask them before you go to bed. Ask them to come into your dreams. It's the easiest way they can communicate. And as I said, my books contain many different ways that pets can communicate with you. And just know that love lasts forever. And I'll leave it there.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rob. It's always a pleasure having you with us on Edge of the Rabbit Hole. You're, always a wealth of information, and people really, like you said, pets are really like children to us, and that's something that a topic everybody's always has questions about, and it really affects them to their heart, even of course after they've passed. So thank you once again, Rob, for all of your insight on pets in the afterlife.
Thank you both, and I'm glad I only teared up once.
All right, have a good evening, my friend.
All right, you too. Thank you both.
Take care.
Bye, Rob.
Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye. All right, Rob Gutro, our very good friend. Like I said, always a pleasure to have Rob on and dive into these different topics. So I think we've had him on like 10 or 12 times now.
Oh, wow. He's always
been a lot. Well, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is. And, we had him back on even, back when we were doing it as just radio before we did video. So
was it like radio before TV or the moving pictures?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, those moving pictures. Right, right.
Heard about them.
So, all right. Well, next week, we have psychic explorer Mark Anthony joining us to talk about gateways to hell. So, a little bit of a different topic with him. We always, whenever we have Mark on, we hit like a totally, random different topic. I mean, one time we had him on talking about, actually, he offered it to talk about the volcanoes in Hawaii. So this time it's gateways to hell. So it'll be very interesting.
Are they in Florida?
They might be, because last time we talked about the Bermuda Triangle, it was like, literally in his backyard.
Yeah. Well, if the seas are gonna, flood Florida,
Yeah. The ocean, the beach will be right in Mark's living room. So
I think it already is. I've seen some pictures he's posted. Yeah,
probably
some beautiful pictures.
So, I mean, it's The world is going to change.
Yeah.
Climate change does happen, but we are still kind of melting out of the previous ice age. At some point, we'll have another ice age. So I don't know. I'll enjoy the warm weather for now, because if it turns ice age tomorrow, it's going to be really cold up here.
I think it was Ice Age last week or the week before.
Yeah, it was ice age down there for you.
Ugh, it was 11 degrees.
Ah,
No heat,
crazy
no
stuff.
electricity.
Nah,
Four
no
cats.
fun. No fun.
No.
All right. Well, let's get to the participants tab here so we can do our shout outs. Adam Tillery is in the house. He was lurking, but he came out there at the end, as he always does. Brenda Bound, thanks for joining us this evening. Donna Liska, thank you as well. Alina, thank you once again for moderating the chat. Always appreciated. Eva Gellert, thanks for joining us this evening. Helen Espinoza, thank you as well. There's Jennifer Bloomer, good to see you. Joe Blogs, thanks for joining us tonight. There's Nick Moulet, always good to see you, my friend. Papa Bear 001, thank you as well. There's Katie Palmer, good to see you. Rick Gabbert, thanks for joining us once again. Robert Hanna and Stacy Comiskey, thank you all very, very much. I know Hunter Road Media's Fairy Queen, Diane Hilbert was in there as well. I have to scroll up here through the list. Of course, there's Guiding Echoes. Nicole is down there in the chat.
You know who was in there? I saw her name go by. I'm assuming it's a her. Pungai Fungi.
Who?
Pungai Fungi.
I haven't scrolled up yet. So, yes, Pungai Fungi was in there as well. There she is.
Yeah.
Pungai Fungi. We have Tammy Heitzman, TFT Tarot for today. Thank you as well for joining us this evening. Let's see.
She's a big cat fan.
A lot of people are cat fans.
Yeah.
You're not, but you have a few there in the house.
The way I see it, it's a soul. It's a soul that needs a place to live.
They just kind of show up on your doorstep.
They do. And I started leaving for work early, and I'll open the garage door, and I'm not kidding, there's 3 cats, and they're like lining, because I'm down here on the cul-de-sac, and there's a Siamese cat and another cat and some Garfield. Wow. So the word's out. Okay. I think they have like a little sign, they're on the curb. Okay.
Let's see. Elizabeth Thomas, thank you for joining us tonight. Monica, thanks for the question. And let's see if there's anybody else here. I guess I'm probably going to scroll back down. Ain Ethne. I hope I'm saying that correctly. We had Hans the Hat Man in here earlier as well, and EEQQ. So thank you all very, very much. Always appreciated. And yep, I think that Jill Chimsky says she's here. She's just listening tonight. All right.
Aw.
She's pulling an Adam Tillery.
Uh-oh. Oh. Can you hear Toby? Oh, he's up there.
No, I can't hear Toby.
He's really yelling now.
That was so funny. The whole mom.
The first time I ever heard a cat do that, my daughter was little, and I thought she was screaming, "Mom, Mom!" And so I get up and I ran out of the room, and I had just gotten married, and what's his name said, "Oh, that's the cat." I was like, "No, it was my daughter. I heard her screaming, Mom."
And there's Rob Gutro down in the chat. He just popped in there.
Rob's awesome.
Thank you once again, Rob. Always appreciated. And like I said, check out his website, robgutro.com, petspirits.com. I know he has a lot of them, just some different sites redirecting to his blog and his site and everything. So definitely check it out. Fantastic books. He always has a lot in the works, always a lot of great blog articles, and just check out his work. And be sure to check us out next week, Edge of the Rabbit Hole with Mark Anthony, Gateways to Hell, and tomorrow night, Beyond the Shadows, which you have to go through the Connected Universe portal. I'll put that link back up here, connecteduniverseportal.com. We're going to be talking about our place in the cosmos. So,
Ooh. This is not the Connected Spider Universe thing, is it? No spiders. No.
It does look like a web. It's all connected. I mean, what's interesting about that photo, and I don't have a copy of it here to put up there quick. Yeah, it basically it's an enhanced X-ray of the universe, and all those little bright dots are galaxies, and those like strands between them that connect it like a spider web are
Yeah.
basically strands of energy. So you can see how
Yeah.
all the galaxies are connected in the universe. It's
That's so
really cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Just no spiders. No spiders.
I don't think there's spiders walking around out there. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, no oxygen, I don't know. But I guess they have found plankton floating around in space living. So that's
Really?
kind of, yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. Yeah. On some of the different spacecraft that go up,
Oh,
like
right.
when
Yeah.
the space shuttle go up or on like space stations and stuff, they have actually found living plankton on the outside.
So was it on when they went up and it lived and it came back down, or it attached? when it was
I
out-
don't remember the specifics. I just remember seeing that they had actually found living plankton on the side of the spacecraft.
That'd be
when it
kind of
was up there.
scary.
So,
If
but I
it
mean,
was floating around.
considering there's like nothing out in space to make life flourish, the fact that it was actually still alive out there is
Oh, but remember the
maybe
ether.
maybe it was adapting.
Okay. Yeah, the ether. It's all these covalent bonds. It's not empty. So,
There you go. There you go.
space plane.
All right, everybody. That's gonna wrap it up for this evening. Victoria, thank you once again
Thanks, Mike.
for.
It's always fun.
Yeah, we always have a good time.
hour of Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Best hour of the week.
Best Tuesday
till
of
tomorrow.
the week.
My favorite Tuesday. It's actually my Saturday, but yeah, for a while. Then it's going to be Tuesday again. So anyway, best hour of the week. Until
Best hour of the week. There we go. Till tomorrow.
Till
When it's
tomorrow.
Beyond the
then that'll be-
Shadows.
Yes.
Yep. All right. All right. Have a great night, everyone.